All right, we're going to go Greyhound on the Film Threat Review Show. Hi, I'm Alan Ning. I'm managing editor of Film Threat, and I'm with Zorianna Kit, and we are reviewing Greyhound. Tom Hanks plays the first-time captain tasked with protecting a convoy of 37 ships carrying thousands of soldiers and supplies across the treacherous waters of the Atlantic during World War II. Well, Tom Hanks is back at it with his World War II, his fascination with history in World War II in Greyhound. This time he plays a naval captain. Zorianna, what did you think of Greyhound?
Well, this is a movie that I'm going to give 5 out of 10. I know that some might disagree with me, but I have my reasons. It's not a movie that I can recommend, especially, if you want to watch another movie where Tom Hanks is the moral compass of a film, where characters look to him for guidance. Well, then this film is for you. But for me personally, I've got a little bit of Tom Hanks fatigue. Like, he's Mr. Rogers telling us how to live. He's Saving Private Ryan. He's Sully guiding an aircraft. And now he's going to save a ship from being, As for me, I have a little bit of Tom Hanks fatigue. He's Mr. Rogers showing us how to live. He is Sully saving passengers on an aircraft. He is Saving Private Ryan. And now he's going to save a ship from being blown to smithereens. It's a little too much of the same for me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I have the Tom Hanks fatigue yet. I wasn't really thrilled with his Mr. Rogers portrayal, but I did like this one to a degree. I gave it a 7. It's definitely not up there with his other ones, but I think I got out of Greyhound what it was meant to be. I mean,
but what was meant to be? Because for me, I was looking to connect emotionally somehow with the characters, and I connected with none of them, and I didn't even find that none of them connected with each other also.
There's this thing about World War II now that makes me wonder, what more of World War II is left to cover. This particular story was, to me, a fairly intriguing one. Yeah, I mean, another film, World War II film we saw earlier this year is Resistance with Jesse Eisenberg. That one was unique because it was about Marcel Marceau and a mime who basically saved hundreds of kids from Nazi Germany. And now we have this story that I've never heard of before of these convoys going from New York to London with important supplies, and at a time in World War II where the war was not certain. There was no idea that we were going to win this war at this time, and so there's tension there. And then and I will say, just like Saving Private Ryan, once I sat down to watch it, there's that anxiety that I felt that, there's going to be a lot of death and destruction for the next hour and a half. And now I've got to prepare myself for it. And I really kind of bought into it at that point.
Well, I just sort of felt like that constant repetition of the naval commands that Tom Hanks gives to the sailors, then to the control room, like the hard right or hard left is repeated like 3 times in a row. I sort of started to feel like I was watching a very expensive training video or a very expensive protocol video on how to behave on a ship during wartime. I was not into any sort of suspense precisely because these young kids hopefully precisely because these kids looked up to Tom Hanks with such hope in their eyes, and he never disappointed them. So you knew that in the end, it was all going to be okay because it was Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that struck me too. World War II is an interesting war because it was probably the last war that we as Americans were enthusiastic to fight in. When you talk about these kids looking up to Captain Tom, that was kind of the sentiment then. And the films of war after that, it just feels kind of weird and kind of out of place.
The other thing that I had a real problem with is the portion with Elizabeth Shue. That really bothered me because the movie starts off with them meeting at a hotel room. They're exchanging Christmas gifts. He wants her to marry him. She wants to hold off. And then he says he will always think of her in his heart. Yeah. And then that is the end of Elizabeth Shue. We never see her again. However, I felt that that was so contrived, and it was put in there specifically to show us that he wasn't just a captain all about the work, that he actually had a personal life. But that at one point in the film, when he flashes to think about her, he flashes to that scene in the hotel room. So that appears to be his only memory of Elizabeth Shue. We don't know anything about her. We don't know if we like her. We don't know if we want them to be together. They certainly have no chemistry at all. And I also felt like it was just a studio note to put in a woman in there because the film is so male heavy. There literally is no other female. So I just sort of felt like,
and it's hard to add females in that situation because they weren't there in the original situation.
I understand that it wouldn't be realistic if there was a female on board, but I just felt it was this cheesy Hallmark wannabe moment at the beginning to set some tone that I didn't quite buy into. That's why I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah, no, I think you're really upset because it was a rehash of Castaway with Helen Hunt.
Wait. Say that again. No. Wait, say that again.
Oh, I say you're upset because it was a rehash of Castaway with Helen Hunt.
Well, see, now that you bring that up, once again, Helen Hunt was just there at the beginning, except she did come at the end, I believe, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she did come in the end.
We always need a woman to send Tom Hanks off somewhere, and off he goes. But that's it. That's the end. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll say that, it is a World War II movie, and it kind of fits in that situation. But yes, it is a trope, and it's been done over and over again. Let me address one last thing about Greyhound. The thing that really bothered me and pulled me out of the movie the most was the computer animation. This movie, I question whether any part of this movie was actually shot on the open ocean.
I don't think so at all. Not one bit.
And as much as the graphics were good, it felt like, the Fast and the Furious. It's just people in a giant cartoon. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely how I felt every time they panned outside of the ship. Mm-hmm. I guess it doesn't bother me as much because I think the intent of the movie is to capture the naval battle of World War II from the POV of the captain, and so I'm sure there's money issues. I don't think Apple had enough money to spend on on real battleships out on the real ocean. And then also
the movie was actually made by Sony, and then when the pandemic hit, they offloaded it to Apple because the theaters closed. So they offloaded it to Apple, and Apple bought it, and it became Apple's big original movie.
So you gave it a 5?
Yeah, I gave it a 5.
And I'm going to give it a 7, mostly because I like Tom Hanks, and 2, it is. I think the subject matter is important, and I think it induced enough anxiety for me to give it a 7. So with that, I'm Alan Ng, and I'm with Zorianna Kit, and visit the Film Threat website at filmthreat.com. We have a lot of interviews, a lot of movie reviews, and we have a shop with really cool merch. So check that out. All right, this is the Film Threat Review Show, and have a great day.